Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Keiththurman versus Timtszyu. So as always, first things first, the tail of the tape. Keiththurman is 35 years old with a record of 30-1. He stands at 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. Timtszyu is in the prime of his career at 29 years old with a record of 24-0, and he is 5'8" with a 72-inch reach. So clear age and reach advantage for Zyu. Next thing I'm gonna do is just give you guys a quick summary of each fighter's attributes, strengths and weaknesses, and I'm gonna start off with Thurman. So I think Thurman is a very smart boxer. He's a little bit atypical, a little bit awkward. He's very crafty, and he's very athletic. I think he's a great counterpuncher. You know, he has great timing, great instincts. He has very fast hands, and quick reaction time. He is sharp, he's accurate, and he's patient. He's a great counterpuncher. Thurman also has great footwork. I love his footwork. He's very good at boxing off the back foot and laterally. You know, he's very good at turning his opponents. And I also believe he has a very good jab and good punch variety and placements. I feel that aside from his jab, his best weapon are his hooks. He's a fantastic hooker, you know. Yo, what? Yo, anyways, yeah. He has good short hooks. He has good check hooks. And he has good counter hooks. So, you know, overall, Thurman's a great boxer, y'all. And he also packs a punch. But if we're talking weaknesses, then the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, his body. He does get hurt to the body. It's been shown. He's been hurt by Pac. And I believe he's also been hurt by Barrios, although there wasn't really a clear-cut footage of that. He just looks like he was hurt from a body shot. So not a major weakness, but is something to note. His defense, I believe, isn't up to par with his offense either. You know, Thurman is a great offensive fighter, but his defense lags a little bit, and he does get caught. He's not terrible defensively, but he does get caught. As for Zyu, well, he is super sharp right now, like super sharp. He's been very active. You know, he fought 3 times last year in 2023. His timing will be at an elite level because of this, and he's very sharp because of this. Zyu is also a very patient fighter. He doesn't rush his work. He knows the cracks and openings will come, and he will capitalize. He also sets up his shots. He's a smart fighter for sure. He has heavy hands, and he is a come forward pressure fighter, a power puncher. He has very good stiff jab and a lightning fast right hand. When he chooses to throw it with speed, that shit shoots out quick, man. Zyu is a great body puncher. You know, he mixes it up well and is a good inside fighter. A crafty inside fighter too, who fights really well off the clinch. You know, he's very good at sneaking in those power punches inside. One thing I really like about him is that he always looks comfortable inside the ring. He never looks panicked. He always looks calm and composed. You know, there's no wasted movements, and he sees everything. Like, look at his eyes, yo. His eyes are always watching what his opponents are doing. And, you know, he capitalizes off their mistake. And like Thurman, he also has good punch variety. You know, overall, just a great pressure fighter. And like I said, he can crack. In terms of weakness, couldn't really find anything major. But if I was to nitpick, I'd have to say it's his footwork. Just because, you know, he likes to plant his feet and come forward. Haven't really seen much of back foot fighting from Zyu. But at the same time, maybe it's just because he hasn't needed to. But yeah, from my vantage point, footwork is most likely his weakness if he has any. Okay, now I'm just going to talk about how I see the fight going. And before that, we got to talk about the weight. There is a catch weight of 155, and Timtzyu's title isn't even going to be on the line. So yeah, this is Thurman's first fight up in super welterweight. He's never touched this weight before, while, you know, obviously this is Zyu's division. As for their styles, well, if I'm being honest, I believe that when we're talking styles, Thurman's style is a bad matchup for Zyu. I see a pattern with Timtszyu, and that is he can be outboxed. Stay on the move and keep your jab out early and often, and you will win rounds against Zyu. Keep turning him and keep him at the end of your jab, and you will win rounds. I saw Harrison do it after he got cracked, after he got wobbled. I think it was in round 4 or 5. Harrison got on his bike and just started popping his jab out often, and I gave those rounds to him. I also saw Mendoza do it. In the first few rounds, Mendoza was mobile and busy with the jab. He even did it in the last round, and he had success. Tszyu can also be countered. Harrison, he had great success with his counter punching against Tszyu. And what does Thurman do well? Stick and move and counter punch. As I said earlier, I really think Thurman is a great boxer with a solid jab and great footwork. Also an elite counter puncher and a good combination puncher. He can be busy when he chooses to, and I think that really bodes well for him against Tszyu, just because, I mentioned it earlier, Tszyu is a patient power puncher. He's very economical and very efficient, and he doesn't throw a lot of punches. At the same time, Thurman can also be countered, especially if he's fighting someone as smart and sharp as Timtszyu. Tim can definitely time Thurman and even counter Thurman's counters. And as I mentioned earlier, Tszyu is a fantastic body puncher. He mixes it up well, very well. He does not neglect the body. He has great punching technique when hitting the body as well. And, I mentioned it too, Thurman does get hurt to the body. Tszyu is a very scary pressure fighter, especially being the naturally bigger man. Although I will say, Thurman looked massive against Barrios, so I think he'll adjust well to the weight. But, nevertheless, Tszyu will be naturally bigger. There could be a chance where his pressure and body punches might overwhelm Thurman. And, I can see him getting Thurman up in the ropes and just wailing on him. But purely just talking styles, I would have to favor Thurman. In fact, honestly, if they were both fighting at their best, I would favor Thurman 60-40. But because, that isn't reality, we have to factor everything in. Because of Thurman's 25-month retirement, because of Tszyu's activity, and hold up, man. Let's put it this way. You guys need to understand the difference between Thurman's retirement and Tszyu's activity, okay? So since 2019, when Thurman fought Pacquiao, he had one fight, and that was Barrios in 2022. It is now 2024. Since 2019, Tszyu has had 11 fights. One fight compared to 11 fights. Let's zoom in a little bit closer now, right? Tszyu has had 4 fights since Thurman's last fight, and he had 3 fights in 2023. His last fight would only be 5 months prior when he fights Thurman. Thurman, on the other hand, right, would be coming off a 25-month retirement. That is no layoff. That is a whole retirement. But I digress. Because of Thurman being 35 and Tszyu being in his prime years at 29, because of Tszyu's size advantage and other intangible factors like hunger and momentum, I would now have to favor Tszyu. I believe with all that being said, Tszyu should be favored 60-40 now, maybe even 65-35. Tszyu is just absolutely streaking right now. The dude is super hungry, super motivated. Well, Thurman is coming off a retirement at 35 years old. I mean, come on, yo. But hold on. Thurman has done this before, though. He came off an 18-month layoff before and looked absolutely sensational against Barrios. He completely dominated him in that fight and looked incredible. Honestly, I think that was Thurman's best performance ever. He looked amazing. So I really want to be edgy and different and say that Thurman will beat Tszyu. And to be fully transparent with y'all, going into recording this video, I actually was gonna go with Thurman to beat Tszyu. But, after listening to myself record, I just can't do it. Barrios was the one coming up 7 pounds in that fight. He was also coming off a loss against Tank. That was his first fight in the new division against one of the elites. And that was 2 years ago now. Thurman was 33. You could argue still in his prime. This time around, he's 35. And he's the one coming up 8 pounds, fighting in a new division against one of the elites. I just don't see it. I don't think it'll be as magical as it was against Barrios. And to be frank, it's honestly quite sad. Thurman is very skilled, talented, and very entertaining. Why hasn't this guy been fighting, yo? But going back on track, my pick for this fight is Timtszyu. I believe Tszyu will be too much for Thurman. All the momentum is on his side, and this guy is a workhorse. He improves every single fight, and I don't think he'll be losing anytime soon, honestly, unless he faces a buzzsaw, someone like Crawford. But even then, that won't be an easy fight for Bud. I, like a lot of people, think that this is almost like a passing of the torch kind of fight, a showcase fight for Tszyu. All the pressure is on him because nobody really thinks Thurman has a shot. Like, literally nobody. But I think he's ready for that moment. I'm talking about Tszyu. I think he's ready to be crowned. He seems very excited for the opportunity, and just earlier I saw an interview of his where he said pressure is a privilege. And I gotta say, I love that mindset. I love that. That is championship material right there, yo. But just for the record, this is actually one of the few times I'm using logic and going against my gut. Usually when I make these prediction videos, I'll be going by gut rather than logic, which funny enough, I actually end up being wrong more often than not. But this could be a good thing. But I really think Thurman is a very, very, very live dog here. He looked intensely focused in the Barrios fight. He got in his rhythm, and to me, he entered a flow state and looked honestly unbeatable that night. This guy was just flowing. He was so fluid that night. But yeah, anyways, Thurman also found his timing and distance fairly quickly for someone who was in a long layoff. If he's that focused for this fight, this will be an amazing fight, y'all. So I really, really think that Thurman has a shot at pulling it off. He can absolutely outbox Timtszyu in my opinion. But for my official pick, I'm picking Tszyu to win. By knockout, actually. I think he catches and stops Thurman in the 10th round. I don't know why 10, but I just see it as a late stoppage. He'll rock Thurman or hurt him to the body, and he'll finish him. But it should be a great fight. Honestly, I don't know why nobody is giving Thurman a chance. Kind of annoys me. But I really think he can pull it off. But I guess everyone's just looking at the 25-month fight gap there. As for what happens next, well, I hope Timtszyu fights Crawford after that. That would be amazing. Crawford can go after a 4th weight class. That would be, wow, that would be great. I would also like to see Virgil Ortiz against him, but I think Ortiz needs 2 or 3 more fights at 154 before we make that fight. So Crawford against Timtszyu would be amazing. And as for Keiththurman, everyone is saying that he should retire after losing to Timtszyu. But honestly, I say he fights Spence at the end of 2024. I don't know why nobody's talking about that. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm just stupid. But I think, this is a fight that people wanted to see when they were both welterweights, but it just never got made for whatever reason. Now, they'd both be coming off a loss at a new division. I just think it makes all the sense in the world, but, like I said, I may just be dumb. But, that's it for me. This went a lot longer than I anticipated, so I apologize for that, but I really do hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you want, but please do that. But honestly, what's more important to me is if you guys could please comment down below what you guys think will happen in this fight, who is winning it. And I know it's premature talk, but what's next for the fighters? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.